All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're bringing you a bonus episode. We wanted to throw this out here. We got a very special game here on Thursday night coming at you. One game that maybe not everyone's looking out for, but the man who loves the bonus episodes just as much as, hey, maybe he's like a young Richard Dawson. My co-host, Fresh, how you doing, buddy?
Perhaps I'm doing great. Ready to talk about some Fun Belt, aka Sun Belt football on a Thursday night. We got a historic program and a dominant D2 team that's made the last 2 years in D1 FBS. FCS program now in FBS. They've been rolling it, and it's really exciting to dive into them. And they are in our top 25, so they're something special.
Yeah, Fresh, if you're a young Richard Dawson, just stay away from my sister on a game show. All right, so we're talking about here, folks, if you can't figure it out, we are talking about the James Madison Dukes. They are going to be going to Huntington, West Virginia to play the Marshall Thundering Herd. At time of record, James Madison is a 4-point favorite, and the over-under is set at 52. Fresh, talk to me a little bit. What you got, James Madison, Marshall, big-time matchup?
Well, you mentioned Richard Dawson. I only know him from Hogan's Heroes, and he's a very wily guy. Always, turning some tricks and being very little on the edge. And that's kind of how I see both these teams. These guys sort of fly under the radar. You don't really expect them to do much, but they are very tricky and they get it done. Especially James Madison. They've won 9 straight games going back to last year. And honestly, last year, if they weren't excluded from postseason play due to NCAA rules, they probably would have won the Sun Belt outright, and they would have won the championship game and gone to a pretty nice bowl game. But they're still fighting through that probation period, and they're making a statement to the nation that they're going to be something dealt with in their transition from FCS to FBS. So far this year, beating Virginia, Troy, South Alabama, Utah State, among others. They are rolling, and the offense is okay. It's Jordan McLeod at quarterback, 1,400 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. But the defense is the name of the game for the Dukes. Third most sacks in the nation with 26. And you're kind of like, really? I mean, you got 4 guys on the defensive line alone who will make up the majority. Jalen Green has 8 sacks, Michaela Kamara 4.5, Jamari Cromar 4 sacks, and James Carpenter 3.5 sacks. You can just imagine these guys getting after people, and really they're setting the tone early, but when they build leads, this pass rush just takes over and takes people out of the football game. And that's how you have to stop James Madison. You can't let them build a big lead and put yourself in passing situations. You can definitely tell by the stats they're allowing. They're only giving up 21 points a game on defense, but 42.5 yards rushing allowed. I mean, nobody can run on the Dukes, and everybody's throwing. So it's a thing of twos. You can't run the ball initially. You set the tone and control the clock, but you're also getting down so early that you're forced to throw the entire second half because they are giving up 310 in the air. So you can look at the stats and you can figure, man, they're terrible in the air. All the people should do is throwing them. It's gameplay, it's game mode, the way the situations play out that really have swung these two statistical anomalies in their different directions. You have to be able to be balanced against James Madison. You've got to jump on them early. You've got to also keep their offense on the sideline, sort of be the aggressor, take the pass rush away, make them play every single down and wear them out. The run defense, the 42-8 will not fear that. You can't be putting yourself in a hole where that running game is taken out of your offense. You've got to use your running game to dictate it. And that's one thing when I get into Marshall, that's what their main focus of their offense is, the ground game. The Duke's offense, there's nothing really flashy outside of McLeod at quarterback. They're scoring 34.5. They're running for 154. They're throwing for 244. They're a very balanced offense, but they play as a team. You're going to score some points. Defense is going to get turnovers. Defense is going to shorten the game, going to get sacks, force punts, and they score and take advantage from there. So it's a very balanced football team, very well coached, not many penalties, and they methodically do their job. They don't worry about flair. They just manhandle teams, manhandle at the line of scrimmage, and let their quarterback play, keep the offense in gear and down in distance. And that's what they've been doing, for the past many, many years in this current system. They've run this program through and through and through. It's the same plug and play. Do your job on the line of scrimmage, score and play defense, and attack the opponent. When it comes to Marshall, they're scoring 30 a game. They're running for 156. They're throwing for 264, almost the exact same statistically as the Dukes. Defensively, though, they're giving almost 30 points a game. They give 28.5, 370 total yards, but 191 of those are on the ground. So the Dukes are going to have to run the football and maintain that possession and really pound away against that weak Marshall run defense. They have been able to pull off some wins this year. They beat Virginia Tech, but they've lost 2 in a row. So how do you continue to keep spiraling out of control? Or do the Thundering Herd at home, do they sort of keep that flow going? Marshall has been a historic program. They made the jump many years ago from FCS to FBS, and they've always been that one team that sort of wades in the weeds in that group of 5 action and find ways to get W's. Can they sort of rally up the Byron Leftwiches and the Randy Mosses of the back in the day and find ways to get a big upset win? This could be one of the bigger wins in recent memory for Marshall if they figure out to get it done against James Madison being at home. Um, they do need to lean on that defense, but then also running back Rasheen Ali, 641 yards and 11 rushing touchdowns so far this season. They've got to run the football, run the football, run the football, take the air out of it, be the aggressor, and let their defense sort of manage. You're not going to shut out James Madison. You're not going to give up 10 points. They're going to score some, but you've got to take the air out of it, and you've got to control the football and keep yourself out of obvious passing situations. I think that's where this game's going to be played at. Can you run the football? Can your defense get off the field and just manage the football game? You don't want to get too carried away. Don't want to get too tricky. Start going out there 3 and out with 3 quick passes and you're back on the sideline. Be smart about it. Run your football. Use your bell cows and then let your defense sort of just go out there and play protective defense. Bend it, don't break. If you have to, field goals are always okay if you give up those and not touchdowns, but you on offense have to score the touchdowns too. Touchdowns win and pull, especially in upset situations. They've got to use that and build off the crowd at home. This won't be an easy opportunity for Marshall. They're definitely going to be up against it. It's a big challenge. They've played well. They've gone to Eastern Carolina. They got a win there. They beat Virginia Tech, like I mentioned before. They gave NC State, a nice little fight, and they gave Georgia State a nice little fight last week. But can they sort of bring it all together and rally on a Thursday night at home? That's a real, it's a tough place to play there in Huntington, West Virginia. Can the Dukes, are they willing to make that trip, through the mountains into the middle of nowhere? You never know. It's a Thursday night. It's not a Saturday. It's one of those weird kind of games where it might catch you off guard. Does Marshall, churn up some magic? Everything is expecting James Madison to win. They've been rolling. They're starting to get national attention. The rankings starting to get a lot more, people eyes on them on the program. And this might be a chance to sort of get them before they get too big. I think the 4 points does fit James Madison pretty well. The over/under 52 is manageable. I definitely think James Madison can cover the 4. The 52 would require the Marshall to score a couple touchdowns. I will take the under in the football game, but I will take James Madison to win. It'll be a close one. I think they win by like 9, maybe 10 at most, but it'll be a nice battle all the way through the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Fresh. I was real impressed with James Madison's defense after I looked into him. You talked about they're leading the country in sacks with 26 on the year, but then the other thing too is they have 10 interceptions on the year. And the impressive thing with me is that 9 different guys have an interception. Their leading guy has 2. So that means that they're forcing turnovers. They're getting after the quarterback, hurrying up that clock that's in a quarterback's head, making him make a bad throw or throw into double coverage, what have you. I think that is the type of recipe that travels very well on the road, especially to a place like Huntington, West Virginia. Guys, the mountains of West Virginia are a very difficult place to play at. Whether it is, not the best place where you're going to get cell phone reception, whether it's the aliens in the mountains, whether it is different things, moonshine, whether it's the country roads in John Denver, whatever it is, West Virginia is not an easy place to play at. Marshall is a proud program. You're not going to go into Marshall and just have an easy time with them. If Marshall's going to make this game interesting, they're going to need Rasheen Ali, just like you said, Presh. And it's not going to be an easy day for him. That James Madison run defense is legit. They're going to sell out to stop the run and put the game in Cam Fancher's hand. You look at them, though. If Ali gets 2, 3, 4 yards of carry, and kind of like it's like chopping a redwood down, he's going to have to continue to hit it until eventually you start putting some serious cracks into that James Madison defense. Eventually, I think that they may be able to open up some play action passing there. You got a couple of wide receivers there. I would keep my eye out for Caleb Combs. He looks like he may be kind of like a guy who is going to be able to move the sticks in the intermediate routes. I like him a lot in this type of a game. I like guys that are possession receivers. They're going to sell out to stop the run. Also maybe play some 2 deep safety. Don't let anything behind you, which will open up the middle of the field for him. As for James Madison, I think everything starts with McLeod, but it's got to be more than what we've seen from him. He's had a great year, 14 touchdowns to 3 interceptions on the year. He has taken 9 sacks. Don't really love that. Maybe get a little bit of help from Black and Lawton in the run game there. Kind of hand it over to them, let them do their business as well, because McLeod can't be that do-everything quarterback. Fresh, this is going to be a close game. And I'm talking about I'm going to take Marshall and the points, but I'm going to take James Madison to win. I think it's going to be a 2-point ball game, 1-point ball game, right in that range. I'll take the Thundering Herd at the +4, and I'm going to also go like you. I'm going to take the under in this game of 52. I like this to only be in the 40s. I don't see this anything more than like a 24-21 game. I think it's a late last-second field goal. Maybe James Madison kind of sneaks out in the clouds of nights in the fog of the West Virginia mountains with a win. And I think we're going to really start talking about James Madison as that group of 5 team that looks really good. This could be a scary team for a Power 5 team to see in a big-time bowl game. They have everything kind of lurking in there. They have that playmaker on offense, and they have a really good defense. And if you don't take them seriously in a Power 5 bowl, watch out for that. This could be a really, really interesting football team, Fresh.
I mean, it's weird also with conference realignment, folks. Yes, both these teams are in the Sun Belt. So this is a conference football game. It means things are going to be a little more intense. It's not just a non-con game where you sort of just check it off the schedule. These games actually matter double, not just for them, but everybody else in the standings to see where people are going to play out. So there's going to be a lot on the line in this matchup on Thursday.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, we just wanted to drop a bonus content episode. We're going to bring more previews this week, but this game's on Thursday night. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Every single time we drop a new episode, you get notified. It's the best way to support our podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're cruising right along to 1,000 subscribers. And visit us at spinnablesports.com because the Irrational Confidence Podcast is part of spinnablesports.com. And Fresh, I can't believe you didn't know. Richard Dawson, the original host of The Family Feud.
Oh, that's why I knew who he was, but I really knew him from Hogan's Heroes. So he still wins it anyway across the board. Funny dude. Definitely a sense of humor from back in the day and a living legend. Well, not living anymore, but definitely a legend for many, many different ways.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll see you next time, and make sure you're locking in all season long with us.
Folks, we'll see you next time for the preview. With that, bye, y'all.